like you're
Yep.
working too hard in the setting
Yep.
engages people more. I don't know what the reason of that or
Yep.
the scientific
Because it's natural.
side of it. Yeah.
It's natural. It's natural conversation. It's not scripted. And holy crap, are we live?
Hey
Nice.
there,
Way to
Mel.
go. Way to go, Sasha. All right. So we're here at B-Sides. I'm going to be heading up on stage in a little bit with Chris Rise and a few others. And as I'm walking through the halls, I am so overdressed. And I know that. And I knew that because if you know anything about B-Sides, it is the real deal when it comes to the people who can hack, can save, can control all of the different endpoints as well as security, red teaming, blue teaming, purple teaming, white teaming, whatever the hell you want. So as I'm trolling through the halls, I start seeing folks that I know, right? So maybe some of the adults that I know, right? And some of the other folks. But I happen to come across this guy who's talking to some of my friends. And I said, let me kick off today's live elite leadership conversation. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? What do you do and where are you at, brother?
Yeah, for context, like Mel could have put it better. A guy on a pink suit just walks by, you know, fast forward. He's like, hey, want to speak a little bit? Why not?
Yeah.
We're here at B-Sides. My name is Robert Pimentel, and I have been in the IT industry for about 12 years now. I started my career in the 2012, serving in the United States Marine Corps in the reserves.
That's what I'm talking about.
Got out of that when I realized I'm not want to be a masochist for life, and moved into the private sector. Always wanted to pursue a natural aptitude I've had since childhood of tinkering and opening things, toys, computers. I broke my own computers more times than I can
Nice.
remember.
Nice.
Because of my family's, attention on me, I didn't end up getting in a lot of trouble that I could have doing some of the things that I have done. So thanks to that, I'm here today and I can do this for a career. And currently, I am working at Humana as a red team lead in their offensive security program, enjoying a lot of amazing support from leadership that have made this trip possible.
I love this. I love this. So I literally just met him. I asked him about three questions, which kind of gave me an idea of where I want to go with some of my questions, but this is unscripted. And again, lighting is shitty. We don't care. We're in the middle of a hallway. I'm probably going to get kicked out of
Everybody
here
can
because
see
I'm
you,
not
Mel.
supposed to
Your
film.
suit is pink.
So I know, but still, like I'm just saying, we're not supposed to be filming. Almost got kicked out of the Fontainebleau yesterday for streaming. But walk us through the bridge between, well, actually, where you come from?
So, Mel, that's a kind of a loaded question because I don't want to take up all the time, but to
No,
give you
well, an hour.
an idea. Oh, fair enough.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that. I thought we were gonna do three, but one week I'll fit it all. Okay, so I grew up in the Dominican Republic. We moved out of there when I was around 11 or 12 years old. My parents started a business in Madrid, Spain, that had to do with financial services, sending wiring and sending money internationally. And with the subprime crisis of 2008, our family business, completely crashed. Yeah, yeah, a lot of management lessons that my parents took there.
Right.
But we got to a point where, when I was becoming of age, they said, "Hey, if you want to pursue higher education, you're going to have to go to the United States." Because, many years ago, my mom had the vision of having me and my brothers be born in the United States so that we would, obtain citizenship, to be completely direct and honest. And with that, I was able to move when I was 18 years old. I moved into New York.
Right.
Came with just about enough money to buy an iPhone 4. And
Nice.
a few months after, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps,
Right.
which was kind of the trampoline for me to start my career.
So,
And
so you skipped a step. You started in Miami, went to Dominican Republic, then
I was just born in Miami, from the hospital to the plane.
I thought it was a raft, but that's a whole nother. Listen, I'm Puerto Rican, so I can make these kind of jokes. So
Disclaimer.
right. Disclaimer. Listen, I'm brown. Get over it. So you're in New York. You enlist. Do you go through how many years?
I went through 6 years in the United States Marine Corps.
And what did you end up? What was your last title?
So the rank I egressed with was corporal,
All right.
corporal and Marines.
So corporal. What is from a leadership standpoint? So from where you were to that point, what did you learn? And
That cursing in a corporate environment is not acceptable and can land you in a lot of hot water. Thankfully, I learned that before I had to
that
face consequences.
challenge that every day.
But that was something that I was enrolled full time in college. I went to Fordham University in New York.
Nice.
Thanks to that GI Bill.
Bronx.
Yeah, Rose
Yeah,
Hill,
put it down.
That's right.
Wait, are you in a fraternity at all?
No.
Did you see Purple and White?
This is Marine Corps. That's the
Get over yourself, man. Did you Did you see a purple and white fraternity on campus?
I'm not.
Alpha Phi Delta representing right here. Okay, keep going.
Okay. Yeah, for first lesson, don't curse as much. That was something that, university professors pulled me away and they, son, are you okay? And I'm like, what
You
do you
look a
mean?
little
It's like
disgruntled.
every third word is a curse word. And I'm like, yeah.
That's who I fucking am.
Well,
Right. Okay.
but I got over that. I was able to become a little bit more articulated, which has
I
helped
think we need to bring that,
immensely.
a little bit more of that back. I think the industry needs a little bit more, a little
Every
bit more
fifth word
kernel.
instead of third?
Yeah, fifth or sixth. That it's
You're right.
it's acceptable by me, so I don't give a shit.
You're the coach here, so
All right. So you said I had to make a transition from the shit you just learned that was your day to day to which is good that at least professors are trying to guide you. I'm all about just showing up and being yourself, but I can get it, right? Like if you're in a trash talking, like
Of course.
brutal
Yeah.
F-bomb scenario, you got to maybe pull back a little bit. Fine, I'll accept that.
And I'll tell you something too, Mel, sorry to interrupt you there, but
No,
I'd say that veterans will know this. 99% of the things we make jokes about are offensive to many groups of people. And yeah, you don't want to be walking around hurting
Right.
people's feelings and
You
things
don't
like
wanna
that.
get
because
canceled.
You mean it from
you don't wanna get-
you're just kicking it there with your buddies, like doing Firewatch or something at 3 in the morning. They're chain smoking cigarettes, and the jokes that come out of
yeah, no,
young adults are
listen,
going
you're
to
doing
be-
you're doing a duty for the United States, for the world, and for everything else. You can say whatever the fuck you want, okay? And this is
Some
by the way, this is
bullshit,
listen. Look, during that period, during that time, right? Yes. So now you start making the transition. You gotta start to maybe speak a little slower, which we
Yes.
both probably have a lot of issues with being Hispanic. Trust me. Uh, it's really hard.
I'll tell you folks a secret though. When we're speaking in Spanish, especially Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, you just don't say the whole word. You say a third of it,
Thank
and then you just
We
continue.
know, yeah, yeah. So, well, the thing that people can tell I'm Puerto Rican and that I used to live in New York is that I dropped the S. I
Okay.
dropped the S off words.
And what about the flag on your neck?
Oh yeah, that's just a big,
Okay.
like, hey folks, I just actually got this. David Heredia, I thank you from Heroes of Color. I went to the Afro-Hispanic festival about 3-4 weeks ago. His incredible artwork, and he said he made me one. He actually had one in the original light blue color and the dark blue. I'm like, nah, I think I need to represent the new, right? I'm like, the old lo viejo can stay where they are. But yeah,
Really cool though. I love it.
yeah, no, well, I just figure, I'm like, listen, we got the Olympics. I need to make sure that people know.
That's
I'm
right.
like, there's no ambiguity. I am Puerto Rican, people, born in Manatí, Puerto Rico. You could use that to accent me or whatever, but that's who I am. My shit is already out there anyway. So, so now you're getting through Fordham. What's next? How do you, so now as a colonel, you had people that were under you, right?
Yeah.
So, but you had a different resume, a different stack, a set of ways to do
To
things.
the leadership after.
Walk me through the transition. How long did it take you to jump from that to managing teams in a corporate environment?
I'd say, Mel, folks have done it in a shorter time. To me, this would be the first year that I'm actually
Okay.
leading the team where I am.
Right,
In the past, I have been a technical leader, but
Right.
not a leader of people,
Right.
if that makes sense.
right. So you're a practitioner. You were in the roots. You were doing
Yes, sir.
the hustle, doing the work.
That's
So walk me through what the last year or so has looked like for you in the mindset.
Well, I'll share something with you and the audience here, Mel. So last year was absolutely miserable. We had a bad leadership situation in the place of work.
Ten
and-
cuidado, they may be
and-
slashing your tires.
Yeah, for sure. And that got handled. That's where I said at the beginning, like the leadership that we take benefit of today is amazing, supportive. They handled the problem where they saw it.
Right.
So things are all green now. Where I was going with that is that was an opportunity to learn a couple things. What not to do, easy, obvious answer.
Right.
But also, Mel, when you're going through those situations, you may go at the end of the day and you're like, wow, do I really get paid enough to do this and put up with this?
No, there's no churn in cybersecurity or any
Right.
industry at all.
I'm sure you heard of the amazing personalities that we deal with. However, it's a lesson because I spoke with my family, I spoke with everybody in my support group, right?
Right.
Friends. And the conclusion was the following: whatever you are, you're going to find some of that. So leaving where you are today because of this problem,
Mhm.
it's not going to solve it at its root cause, which is how do I deal with the situation? And that's exactly what I went to with my leadership. It was like, guys, there's this going on. I know it's not right. How do I deal with it? Right. And they dealt with it in a different way. They were like, you don't need to deal with this. And they, I commend them for handling something that was difficult that could have turned to something much worse
Right.
for the company, for myself, for anybody.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
But the thing that I learned there, Mel, was stick through it. Not as a masochist, just taking the pain, but more like there has to be a way to deal with this, because wherever I go, Mel, I'm going to find something similar, something that's not ideal.
Yep.
Because
Grass is not always greener on the other side,
that's
brother.
absolutely correct. Mel.
Yep.
And something else too, leaving where I am at the moment would have been leaving behind a lot of very positive, amazing things
Right.
that I've experienced.
Right. Right.
And I cannot tell you how much I am glad to have taken that decision to stick it through.
Yeah.
Because the situation has taken a 180 degrees from where I was. Out of that situation, I challenged myself, from one day you're being told, you're not good enough, you should stop doing this, to where I said to myself, you know what? Maybe there's a possibility you're right.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, what I'm going to do is get better. And
Right.
it doesn't matter. And I started putting myself out there. We have a brand, professional brand called Hacker Hermanos, where we're contributing back to the community. Essentially, the little or much that I know that I've learned in this field of offensive security, we're
Yep.
just putting it out there for free.
I love this. I love this. So you walk through a few of like perfect pieces. Like I already said, grass isn't always greener, right? You're like, oh, it sucks here. They're toxic. This and the other. That's fine. Sometimes it's so bad. Yes, you have to leave. But if you've got a management that can listen to you or that can hear you and actually takes action, that's huge. That alone, even if it's a smallest
That showed
thing,
me a lot.
that alone is a reason like, okay, they're willing to change, they're willing. So what else do I need to do to make them aware of the, toxicity, situations, resources, the wrong tools, the wrong process, context switching, all the things that you're dealing with, and say, how do I position it not as a problem, but with a solution, right? Everybody talks about this kind of stuff and it's hard to do, but if you can start to get into that mindset, so that's a huge value to say, hey, and even when you don't know how to solve it, say, I don't know how to solve this, but it's really bad, right? And you're making the leap over and over and over again, where you have to restart to build trust, right? Trust in your teams,
It's not gonna
trust in
help.
leadership. It doesn't help because guess what? That's exhausting. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be open. You've got to make sure that everybody understands where you're coming from, your genuineness. So if you've already started to build that, the question is, how do you build more of that? So you've got to go up, down, and laterally to pull in the allies and the advocates, but not complain, right? Not be the Debbie Downer, not be the disgruntled, right? But when you have somebody in your team that does that, you've got to kind of, figure out what is going to elevate them. How do you get them to be?
And I wanted to touch on something.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, do it, brother, do it.
And what I'm about to say, disclaimer too, is not necessarily subscribing to the mindset to the grind set, like they say.
Right.
I'm going to stick through, I'm not speaking to that, but more so, there's a situation that's not ideal. How can I turn this into something positive, or at least partially positive? What can I learn from
Love that.
what
The
I'm
grind set. I'm going to be using that shit.
Yeah, that thing's all over LinkedIn. You'll know.
I haven't seen it.
It's like people that say, how's your day today? And they're like, oh, it's 10 in the morning. I woke up at 2:30, ran 15 miles.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, you know what I did at 2:30 in the morning? I was having White Castles with the folks over at Trace 3.
That's the way we do it.
Want to know why? Because I was out there and I was celebrating the Cybersecurity Women's Awards run by Carmen Marsh, and it was fantastic. And the leaders were there and everything else. So guess what? You do your workout at 2:30, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go make beautiful, interesting, and positive connections with the leaders of the world, right? So, but the grind set, I get. Look, listen, I'm not down on anybody. I do my running. I have to get back on my track, but like, there's only so much of that you can do at work.
Right.
Right. I get people have paychecks and they have kids. I've got 3, I'm paid for 3 colleges, this, that, and the other. Right. I get it. Right. But at the end of the day, if you're not looking out for yourself, you're not looking out for your teams, everything else is going to collapse.
That's completely true.
Yeah. And, just a resonating quote that I have in my head that keeps me, really kind of baseline on some of these topics, related but not related, is from from the color purple, is until you do right by me, everything you do is going to fail. Right. So to me, it's like, listen, I need to look out for myself. My leadership needs to look out for me. I need to look out for my children. I need to look out for my teams. So that way there isn't a negative kind of space. Right. And for me, That's I put out the energy, man. You saw how did okay, walk everybody through how you saw me approach your gaggle of people talking.
That was very funny because picture this: we're all sitting in the circle, typical thing, standing up, having jokes, conversation, people that know each other, and suddenly Mel comes out of nowhere and he says, "Sir, you're obstructing the way," and pushing my friend from a Walmart business type of situation, and I myself felt like I was the one in trouble. Maybe I don't want to catch a case here. I need to go back home at the end of the week, but you get the point. He just broke into the circle and immediately started cracking jokes with everybody, which I observed as a good way to build common ground, build trust quickly, lower perhaps the defenses that some folks might have if they're not,
Well, if
outgoing.
somebody introduces you as their wife, I mean, how do I
Yeah.
not? It was the other person.
Right. I'll see you after this. I don't want to beat your
By the way,
camera.
this is live, this is on YouTube, this is on Facebook, so it's memorialized for the world.
I love this suit though. I'm gonna get an orange one.
Well, I have an orange one. I wore that shit on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have a baby blue one. Probably won't wear that one this week, but I have it. Yeah, no, I just again, I'm at B-sides. I wanted to make sure that I did not blend in, right? Because I want to make sure that I have absolute respect for everybody and anything everybody's wearing, but I need to show up. I need to show up the way I want. So, but let's get back on you. It's enough about my bullshit, right? So you're leading the teams, you're going through, but very specifically, it's the red team. Walk me through the leadership challenges there.
So, like we were saying about this industry and some of the personalities that you might encounter in your journey, we work with a lot of brilliant folks. We work in a field that is not necessarily as rewarded for the effort that you have to put in just to keep up with an ever-changing line of work, where whatever you were doing, perhaps that was working 2-3 years ago, might have changed, might not work anymore. It's very tough. It's challenging, right? So, and that breeds perhaps a situation where people might be discontent or they might not feel as valued. So, personally, what has worked for me so far, and always keep in mind that what got you here might not take you to the next place where you want to be, and that's where Coach Mel is going to come in and hook it up, the wife discount, as he called it, to help build acceptance presence, right? So we can keep growing our career. But beyond that, where I was going, Mel, is at least a couple things that have worked for me are be myself, like we were saying before. The best role, the best paper, the best way I can be is how I already am. I don't need to try to be something I'm not or someone I'm not, because that's just, it's not going to come out the same way, right? It's also taxing and difficult.
Thank you.
The other thing too, Mel,
everybody's just stopping by.
This guy is well known, and he's like a highlighter. You can see him from across the hotel.
Yeah, the airplanes are hovering over finding me. Like, there he
Don't do anything bad, good.
I know.
Hard to run.
I'm in LA, man. I see helicopters all the time. I'm ducking all the time. I'm like, but go ahead.
This guy's not kidding when there's enough rings here to go to 3 bar fights.
Lunch after I wash my hands. I'm devastated.
Sorry. Hashtag too soon.
But I have some in the room, so don't worry. Yeah, I come with backups. These are my brass knuckles, basically, is what it comes down to.
I would not want to piss this guy off.
I'm genuinely good at heart, but I will tell you, the Puerto Rican Boricua in me comes out. Yeah, you don't want that.
It's over. It's over. There's gonna be blood. The second thing, Mel, I'd say is treat each other like you want to be treated. Golden rule, right? To tell you something personal, a few years ago, I was raised evangelical Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I had a young adult, a teenage rebellion phase where I also lived in Madrid. Spain is, I'd say, the nation party of the world, right?
Yes.
So,
I'll be there next week.
Been around is the point,
right?
And went through a few tough challenges, and I pulled back to what I was taught when I was growing up, and I was like, Lord, I know you're there. I believe you're there. Help me. I know I don't deserve it. Maybe you don't even want to talk to me, but I need your help because things are not looking good for me, man.
Right.
And I can tell you, Mel, little by little, there has been challenges, but my life has changed completely, brother. Completely.
Yeah.
To the point where I feel like he's transformed who I am, how I think, how I can give love to others.
You hear that?
And I bring that to leadership. I treat others, Mel, knowing that, we're in a business, we're doing work,
Yes.
but I treat others with genuine love, even if they don't feel the same for me.
I love this.
Why? I could be the one in their shoes, and at least I know I'm giving them something I would like to receive. I'm not being a hypocrite in that sense.
Two core things that you pull in there. Number one, be the manager or the person that you've always wanted or never had. And then number two, your values and your beliefs are core to everything you do, right? So let me just adjust here so I'm not off screen. But your values and your beliefs are absolutely what you need to bring in every conversation, right? If you believe in giving back, if you believe in caring, if you believe, right, those core pieces, educating, what the things that you may not have had are the things that you want, and you want for your kids, or you want for the college, or you want for your teams. That's important. So if everybody goes online, you'll see my 5 V's. Values is number 2, right? And so you find your views, what you think about yourself, your skills, what other think about you, then your values. Then you build onto that being vulnerable, right? Sharing, being on an impromptu conversation where you don't know what kind of fucking questions I'm
I
going
didn't
to
know
ask
what
you.
he was going to talk about.
And then from there, finding your voice, who you are, what you do, how you want to present, and everything else. And then the last step of this whole process for me is your vision. What's your North Star? Take all those 4 and then create your vision. But to me, I'm honored to be here with you, sir. And
Likewise, Mel.
really
I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you
Thank you
because
so much.
you've got all of the key pieces in the lineage, what you've learned, introspective pieces, right? Leveraging, and it could be any religion, any belief, any values, right? And that's really important. Once you've got a foundation, once you've got a belief, once you've got those values, that's huge. That's huge.
That's very kind of you, and I treasure those words in my heart.
Money.
Thank you so much.
That's going to get you through the rest of your life, man. That's going to get
Appreciate
you through the rest of your life because now you've got. And by the way, it'll change. Your values may change. Your beliefs may change because you've achieved certain things. And
You learn different
more. And you're at the what I would call early mastery stage, right? So you've got you go to school for certain things, right? And you learn something, right? You go to the military, you learn something, then you put it into practice, right? That's the second step. And then you become so good at it, you're like, I got this. And then at the third layer, which I call mastery, is where you start to teach it, which is I manage teams, or I become an associate adjunct professor, or I do mentoring, and then at that point is when you start to really refine all of those skills because you've got to explain it to a lot of different people, a lot of different ways. So, man, I appreciate this.
Likewise, Mel.
That message that you just gave is a message that we need to get out there to everyone, veterans, colleagues, everything else is really about the values. So from a leadership standpoint, if you're not doing introspective work to be a value to your team or otherwise, then you're really doing yourself an injustice. I'm going to say, you know what? It is 2:30. We're going to cut this short because this is all we needed today. It's it. So stay
Before
tuned.
we leave, Mel, I want to give a special shout out because when you said be the manager to others that maybe you never had,
Right.
That's for me, it's James Binford, my current leader at Humana.
Right.
That person has gone above and beyond to help me where the areas where I struggle.
It's hot in here and I just got chills, people.
Seriously, credit where it's due. James, maybe you're watching this. I will definitely tell you to watch this. I really appreciate you.
Well,
thanks for everything.
Connect me in. I'll tag him, and that way he'll have nothing but to be able to be accountable on LinkedIn for it.
Sweet.
Listen, man, I appreciate you through that. I'm a hugger. Impromptu. Just ask him a few questions. This is how we do it. Elite leadership. What do we learn? What do we do? How do we grow? Thank you. And my astute director of operations is gonna sign us off. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks
I
for
will see
having me,
you
guys.
tomorrow.